What's going on, everyone? So, we may have a new lead in the upcoming Scream 7, and it looks like it may be Sidney Prescott's daughter. Now, take this with a huge grain of salt, as always, because everything's just rumor and speculation until it's confirmed. But let's dive into it. So, Taylor, lead. Over 18 to play a 17-year-old white female. Taylor is Shannon's smart, kind, and headstrong teenage daughter who has been in a relationship with her boyfriend Brian for over a year. A bit tomboyish and rebellious, Taylor typically obeys her overprotective parents' strict rules, knowing they are only concerned for her safety, but is ready to prove that she can take care of herself and be treated like an adult. Taylor is probably Sid's daughter, and Shannon is a code name for Sidney Prescott, right? So that way they don't, spill the beans. And this is per Daniel RPK. Now, again, take this with a huge grain of salt, please. But it does kind of line up with what I would imagine Sidney being this strict, overprotective, overbearing parent. It's something that I've talked about in past videos that, like, hey, I really want to see them explore and dive into Sidney as a mother, right? Like, you established her children, you established her marriage. What is she as a mother, as a wife, especially given the trauma in the past that she's had? Is she this super overprotective, overbearing mother that's just incredibly over the top? Is she kind of just like, hey, follow these rules and you're fine, right? Is she just constant spying and keeping an eye on her kid, right? Like, how is she as a mother? Is she just like this great mom, or is there a little bit of a struggle? Is there a little bit of a conflict, especially dealing with teenagers, right? Like, is there this pushback and this back and forth? And, Sidney's just looking at it as I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to keep you safe. And she's looking at it as not you, mom, type thing. All you're doing is just basically trapping me type thing, right? If you've had teenagers, right? So I do think that this kind of fits that kind of idea narrative. Also, with the husband or the wife side of things, right? With her husband, Mark Kincaid, I also want to see what is she as a wife, right? Is she, does she have these walls? Is she kind of, ornery, right? Like, is she this? And Mark Kincaid just kind of understands because of the past, or or they just have this perfect marriage and it's just this white picket fence, right? Like, that's what I'm really excited for them to explore in this upcoming Scream. I really hope that they don't just kind of brush this over. I really hope that they don't just, take this and just go, oh, here's Sidney and her kids, and then that's it. And then, we just maybe get a scene or two, if that. I really want them to establish and set up. I'm not saying that the kids or Mark or anything like that, or Patrick Dempsey, have to be in every single shot, every single scene. But I'd like to see some exploration of the family dynamic. I'd like to see, how are the kids responsive towards Sidney, towards Mark, right? Is Mark the cool, laid-back dad? Is he the guy that's just don't ask mom, you ask him, and he'll let you do it type thing? Or, because he was a detective and he was this? Or is he overbearing because he was a detective and because he knows what mom went through in Sidney and stuff? There's just so many potential dynamics that you could dive into that I'm really excited for. And I really hope it doesn't kind of get thrown to the wayside. Now, it is worth stating that there have been other rumors that are out that basically Sidney's family isn't going to be in the film very much, that they're just going to kind of be almost like cameos in a way, right? They're going to have very limited roles, which this character says lead. It says that it's a lead character. Now, look, things change. Things, different directions, right? They did rewrites. It's very possible that there was stuff put out early and things have changed since then, right? Also, supposedly, they're supposed to get a delay in the actual filming of the film in Atlanta. So maybe they changed some stuff and they want to get some stuff worked out and they're trying to find a new lead. Maybe they do want to explore the daughter side of things a little more, right? Maybe they do want to get into that, which I hope that they do. Again, you can make Sidney's children whatever age you need, literally, right? up until Scream 5, had no idea she had children. This film supposedly is supposed to be around the 30th anniversary, which would mean that this would be 2026, right? Like, because there's supposed to be a time jump, right? It's supposed to be from the original Woodsboro attacks, right? So there's supposed to be this time jump, which would make it 2026 in the actual film, kind of like Scream 2, where that was 2 years, though. But there's supposed to be this time jump, and the last time you saw Mark Kincaid and Sidney together was back in 2000, right? So you're talking 26 years, right? So if Mark and Sidney could have been together up until like 7 years, 8 years by the time they had their first kid. So you could have a daughter that is, whatever age, right? You could have a daughter that's 18. You could have a daughter technically up to 25 if you wanted to. I don't think that they'll do that. They'll probably have a daughter around Sidney's age at the time of the original Scream, which, again, if you're going to do a 30th anniversary, it makes sense to actually have the kids involved in some capacity and there be some resemblance. And, she has this boyfriend, and now because of this boyfriend, Sidney's having these flashbacks to Billy. And it's just like, man, I got to get my daughter away from him. Like, what if he's the one that's killing? And now it just turns the boyfriend into a suspect, and Sidney, being this overprotective parent, like, forbids it, but she keeps sneaking away with the boyfriend or whatever. Like, there's just so much you could do to make such a great, interesting Scream film that I really hope that they don't squander that. I really hope that they don't blow that, because you have an opportunity for Sidney to kind of be seeing herself in her daughter, in her child, and then Ghostface shows up and she's like freaking out because it's just like, man, like, I've been here. I know what's happening. I know what's going on. You can even have Sidney's daughter kind of be the lead going forward, right? Now, supposedly, so another thing worth noting is that one of her daughter's names are supposed to be Tatum. Now, this could be like Taylor Tatum, right? So this daughter could be Tatum. That'd be kind of funny if the character that takes over for Sidney is Tatum. Right? Like, is the name Tatum. But it's there's supposed to be a character named Tatum. Now, look, Sidney has at least 3 kids that we know of, if not more. She could have more, but she has the one in the stroller that we saw. And then she has then she says, my girls, plural is 2, right? So she at least, or 2 or more, right? So she at least has 2 daughters. So she has bare minimum 3 kids. Again, everything was very vague. Everything was not greatly explored. So they can do however they want about this. But that's just something to keep in mind. So, Tatum doesn't have to necessarily be the first daughter. Although you would imagine, like, if she was going to have that kind of sentiment, if she was going to have that type of, if she was going to name her child anything, it would be that. But, again, I'm all for having Sidney and doing the Sidney route and telling the Sidney story, right? A new story. But one of the things that I've talked about heavily is just, I want you to continue to grow and evolve their characters. I don't want to just keep having movies with Sidney and Gale in them and they don't expand or evolve their characters. Gale Weathers in Scream 6 served no point or purpose. She did not need to be in that movie at all. There literally wasn't a single thing that she did that furthered the plot or was necessary and needed. The only thing she did was discover the shrine room, but Detective Bailey says that he was going to reveal it. So it wasn't like she did something that just kind of threw a wrench in the Bailey family plans. No, it literally was nothing. Detective Bailey, Dermot Mulroney's character, was going to do the exact same thing. He was going to reveal it. So she had no significance, no point in her being in that film. Same thing with Kirby. I mean, character could have been literally anybody else. Now, there is supposed to be a new series. There is supposed to be this spin-off. So hopefully they do right by that. Hopefully they tell and kind of go more in depth with her character. Maybe that was the plan all along and they were willing, just trying to set that up, that she's this FBI agent. Okay, if in hindsight we look back and we go, okay, now it all made sense, then fine. But can't do that with Gale. And same thing with Sidney in Scream 5. Sidney served no point in Scream 5. We didn't even get a reaction to Dewey's death. There were so many missed opportunities in Scream 5 with Sidney Prescott, in my opinion. Right? So I don't want to see them in just a new trilogy like they're supposedly trying to make, and you just don't further their characters. You have a very easy entry point to further Sidney Prescott, and that is her as a mother and a wife, and the impact that now a Ghostface shows up that takes on Sidney going forward, right? Like, I really hope that they don't drop the ball in that regard. I really hope that they do right and use the plot point that you set up to further tell a story. Simple. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel with your thoughts? You excited? Do you think that, like, hey, yeah, this makes sense, kind of lining up with all the other rumors and speculation stuff? Think, nah, like, this is just noise. I mean, there's going to be other characters in this, so it does make sense that, there'd be some type of news and insight. And we got the character synopsises for Scream 5 and 6, like, a long time before. So I do think that it's possible this is legit, but again, you never really know. Always take it with a grain of salt. But anyway, again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.